bros.
I know what you're thinking. Coach, what's up with the new outfit? What's the deal here? Well, we're trying something new. You see, I'm sick of all the history books being full of lies, so we're going to cut through it. And I'll get to the answer to the outfit. This is an authentic Civil War uniform worn by the 420th Garrison Division that was stationed in Key West, Florida. We'll get into their kit here in just a second. I'll lay it all out for you. To start with, here's the badge. This was typical of them to just make a cheap badge that had all the important information on it, because they kept losing their real insignia on the beach, and when generals or something would come around, they'd get real upset about it.
Alright, as you see here, we got our basic belt. Now this is standard issue to about all the Confederate troops. Most would of course use these for ammo storage. However, the 420th Garrison Division had a penchant for carrying herbal medicines in those pouches. And this, now I was really happy I found this. This is rare and hard to come by. The 420th liked to make these so they could just wouldn't drop their pistol and lose it on the beach. They usually didn't carry their rifles because they're heavy, and man, they're just kind of a drag, you know. They put a real harsh on the mellow. This is a standard issue Mark 3Z smoke screen deploying apparatus. They also had a tactic where they would blow a cloud of smoke while they were firing their pistol to make it look like they had a bunch of rifle dudes or something, but they never really had to test it. But in theory, it looked pretty rad, and it probably would have worked. And then of course you got to have your Nag Champa, your good incense, so you know your foxhole stays smelling good. And this is the protective case for your smoke screen deployer. You just put her in there. Of course, a lighter, a standard issue, usually goes inside the pouch. And this would be smoke screen fluid. This, of course, reproduction. I couldn't find any original. And every soldier carried an emergency pack of aluminum foil because, you know, they might need it. And the standard, this is basically like the Little Red Book of the Confederacy, Squidbillies Volume 2 on DVD. But as cool as all of this gear is, we're not here to talk about the 420th Garrison Brigade. We're here to talk about the Union's greatest defeat in the Civil War at the hands of the Confederates' Russian allies at the little-known Battle of Smirnoff Ridge. Today, on History with Coach.
History with Coach. History don't have to be a mystery with Coach. Who'll expose the lies they tell. We'll read between the lines and see what history hides. Let's open up your eyes. Get woke, it's time to learn because it's History with Coach. On July 31st, 1866, General Grant turned over control of 5 divisions to an up-and-coming officer by the name of Heinz Guderian. Heinz was given the task of capturing an area known as Smirnoff Ridge. Smirnoff Ridge was a very important strategic point to the Union Army. If it fell into Confederate hands, it may lead to the Union being pushed back into Mexico and could easily lead to the liberation of the nation of Africa. By August 3rd, Guderian had arrived in the area. He sent out 2 scouting parties to see what they could find. The scouts reported seeing 3 to 4 battalions of Confederate infantry about 3 miles north of the location. Deciding to move quick and seize the initiative, Guderian ordered his forces to deploy. He decided to hold half a division in reserve, near his artillery battery. He would hold his cavalry to the flank. He would send the rest of his infantry divisions up the hill. Once they were engaged, he planned to have an artillery barrage, followed by a flanking maneuver by his cavalry division. The attack on the Confederate position was a complete success. The Confederates fired a few confused volleys before retreating. Under Guderian's orders, the Union divisions continued forward, unaware of what laid ahead. The Confederates had help in the form of 4 volunteer Soviet infantry battalions and 3 artillery batteries. They had fallen into a trap that the Confederates and Russians had set up. At about 1:30 p.m., August 3rd, 1866, all hell broke loose.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Guderian and his forces were ambushed. You know what? Instead of dicking around like this, I'll just show you what happened. I made a painstaking recreation of the battle. It's pretty good.
For God's sake, come on! Richtung die anrückenden Panzer! Feuer! Der Angriff kommt genau auf unsere Stellung.
Heinz Guderian would survive the battle with 2,000 of his men. The remaining 25,000, however, were killed or captured by Confederate and Soviet forces. The Soviets would go on to liberate Africa, but the Union would manage to hold on to Mexico. The war seemed lost for the Union until the cotton gins of the South became self-aware and toppled the South's infrastructure. But that's a story for another day. The 1870 machine uprising of Alabama. Anyway, I've been Coach Bill, and this has been History with Coach.